Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this edition of The List on UWW-TV. I'm Dominic Ottens alongside Moen, and for the next few minutes, we'll present our top 5 sports stories of the week and discuss why they made the top 5. Did your top 5 make our list? Let's find out. At our number 5 spot, we go to the NBA with the Los Angeles Lakers defeating the Brooklyn Nets by a score of 126-101. The Lakers are currently missing LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and Kyle Kuzma. Now, Corey, what does this blowout win mean for the Lakers?
Means a lot, Dom. Look, Frank Vogel is known as a defensive coach, and to be missing those 3 defensive stalwarts is a huge win for the Lakers. And the Nets are unfortunately missing James Harden. He's been out a few games with a hamstring strain, but that has been the story for the Nets before the season started is can they be good on the defensive end? And in that game, they didn't show it at all.
I mean, I think it's pretty much safe to say that, if the Lakers can keep up this momentum, you could probably punch their ticket to the NBA Finals. I mean, because eventually they're going to get these All-Stars back, and then it's just going to be, just a show from there on out for them. So more the fact of, who are they going to play from the East? Now, the Nets are in this equation here. Now, like you said, Corey, I was kind of disappointed in their defensive performance. I mean, it just kind of showed, their ultimate weakness and where they're going to fall short. But I mean, James Harden was out, so they were missing a highly, valued offensive weapon, and he has the ability to create plays and to keep games close. It's just a matter of can the defense of the Nets compete with the high-octane offense of the Lakers.
At number 4, the Milwaukee Brewers have traded shortstop Orlando Arcia to the Atlanta Braves. Arcia has been with the Brewers organization for over 10 years. Will the Brewers have better success with Luis Urias at shortstop?
I have to say that if the last few games are any evidence of it, I would say yes. I mean, they didn't start the season out too well. They dropped a series to the Braves, and then they have been on a roll ever since. I mean, it has just been home run after home run, run after run, RBI after RBI, and it is just, the bats have been flying. So I'm not sure if this was, with Arcia being out or if this was just some sort of awakening from it. I'm not entirely sure.
Dom, my armchair GM sensed this back in November of 2019. Look, I could see this happening. David Stearns has said for the last 2 exit interviews that this was going to happen, that he didn't like the shortstop production, that this was going to take place. Look, Urias they like his value. They like how he's going to be. And, I'm sad to see Orlando Arcia go, but Urias, I think, is going to be a huge step up from Orlando Arcia.
I'm right there with you, Corey. I actually did really like Arcia, and he was a very good addition to a team that was trying to look for, its next new players. I mean, picking up Christian Yelich, that was a great grab. And, I applaud them for going after these young players. And the production that he gave the Brewers was really great. And I think Arcia was able to kind of launch the Brewers into this next phase of what they were looking for. Yelich has been getting a lot better over the past few games. I know the season's still early, but do you see the production that has come from being able to grab this younger talent and to be able to just kind of continue to run with momentum and be able to just continue to win games? But we're going to have to hold our thoughts right there. We're going to take a short commercial break, but we've got more coming up on the list, including news on the Tennessee State hiring a new football coach. So we'll be right back.
UWW-TV has been an important part of the campus and community since 1980.
Not only providing on-air learning opportunities for broadcast journalists and electronic media production students,
but educating and entertaining our audiences with award-winning news, live sports coverage, original programming,
as well as dedicating the mission to developing creative collaborations throughout campus.
For more information, visit our website, our 24/7 stream, and like us on Facebook.
Check us out because you gotta see what's on UWW-TV. The James R. Conner University Center on UW-Whitewater's campus is a gathering place for students of various cultures, backgrounds, and lifestyles. The UC is a great source for information, campus tickets, meetings, entertainment, food, gallery exhibits, workshops, and all of your hot card needs. Whether you're looking for a place to study between classes or just a place to hang out with friends, the UC is the place for you. For more information on the UC, please visit uc.uww.edu or go to facebook.com/uc.uww.
Practicing social distancing is imperative to maintaining safety in the residence halls this year in lounges and common areas. For kitchens and laundry rooms, we have capped occupancy at 2 students in these spaces at any given time. Students will not be allowed to wait for their laundry in the laundry rooms, and if 2 students are already in the space switching laundry, please wait outside for one to leave. We ask that those using these spaces are efficient with their time, so all students have the option to use the common areas as needed. We thank you in advance for your cooperation.
Welcome back to the list on UWW-TV. Let's get you the countdown to this week's top sports stories. At number 3, the Tennessee State Tigers have hired NFL All-Pro running back Eddie George as their new head football coach. Will George have success as the team's? Will George have success despite his lack of coaching experience?
I mean, it's always a gamble when you bring someone in who hasn't had this kind of experience. Now, I mean, one of the ways that's you gain experience is, as obviously through and doing the job, itself. So I think that with the comments that have been made by Tennessee Titans, George has been a mentor for Derrick Henry specifically, and I think just the kind of way that you see players and coaches just kind of rally around him and look to him for advice, I think that shows really great leadership in him. So I'm excited to see what's going to happen, but I'm not entirely sure if leadership correlates to coaching. So we'll obviously have to find out in the future.
Deion Sanders-esque is what is the phrase I'm going to use here. But the difference here is that Deion Sanders actually coached high school football. Eddie George is going into a very new field. But I was reading today that he actually hired Jeff Fisher to serve as his consultant. Fisher, of course, was his former coach for the Titans. Look, I think Eddie George, he was a very successful NFL pro. As you mentioned before, he mentored Derrick Henry. I think this will be a perfect job for him.
With that addition of Fisher, I'm excited to see what the former coach and player are going to be able to do. But moving into our number 2 spot, the Masters tournament at Augusta National has concluded on Sunday and was filled with many surprises. Now, what stood out to you the most?
Dom, I'm actually going with Will Zalatoris. Look, he is a good story. He came out of Wake Forest. He unfortunately, before even trying to get to the PGA Tour, he didn't qualify to get his tour card. He was finally able to get his tour card. He actually recently won a tournament in July 2020, the TPC Colorado Championship, and he actually finished tied for 6th in last year's U.S. Open. So this performance for the Masters for Zalatoris did not surprise me at all.
I think I'm going to have to stick right there with you, Corey. And Zalatoris is definitely the highlight of this just because this is his first time competing in the Masters, and man, you finished 2nd. Now, in my book, you got to be really proud of that. This is a stage that's not just for the United States, but for everyone from all over the world to come compete. So to be able to do this at this stage, this early in your career, outstanding.
Stay tuned. We'll wrap up this edition of the list with our number 1 story of the week right after this.
Warhawks know what it takes to become champions. At the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater, our student athletes pursue excellence with a determination that inspires everyone on campus. Warhawks are smart. Warhawks are strong. Warhawks value service. We prepare our student athletes for life after college. The University of Wisconsin-Whitewater. Come be part of the Warhawk family.
Turn us on. Flip them off. 91.7 WSUW. 91.7 is a student-run radio station serving the Whitewater area with a variety of original programs, live sports broadcasting, community events, and more. So turn us on
91.7 FM
or stream us live at 917theedge.com.
UW Whitewater Athletics, a relentless pursuit of excellence across 22 sports, powered by a tradition of success. 20 national championships, 17 since 2002. 61 individual national titles. 24 National Athletes of the Year. 616 All-Americans. 115 Conference Scholar Athletes of the Year. 1,500 community service hours annually. Be a part of the tradition and join the Warhawk family.
In order to safely provide desk services, plastic barriers will be installed at all operational residence hall desks. Student employees will wear face coverings, and any lines that occur will be spaced out via visual markers on the floor.
Welcome back to The List on UWW-TV. It's time to reveal our #1 sports story of the week. At our #1 spot, Hideki Matsuyama becomes the first player from Japan to win a men's major championship. Now, what does this mean for him and for Japan?
Dom, it's big. Look, Matsuyama is the only second player from an Asian country to win a major championship after Wei Yang won it in 2009. Look, the Masters had a good story this week of players who aren't known for long drivers had the best performances. Players like DeChambeau and Johnson, they didn't do as well because they tried to outdrive the course. The Masters is not set up for that. So what a big win for Matsuyama.
I mean, I can't express, again, kind of what you said, Corey, the importance of it. I think it's huge that, again, this is a tournament that's not just for the United States. This is for the best golfers in the world, and to kind of see, these newer names come into the pool and be able to walk out on one of the biggest stages in sports. I mean, with the Masters, all eyes are on you. I mean, and this is a long-lived tradition that just continues to expand and continue to just grow in popularity and be able to impact so many lives. So I would not be surprised if this is just the beginning for others in different countries, such as Japan, to come and compete in the Masters. But with that, that'll do it for this edition of The List. We'll be back next week to talk more sports headlines. For Corey Moen, I'm Dominic Ottens. We'll see you then.